Final chapter. This is the final time I will sit down and talk about Toriko. All good things must come to an end, eventually. Kinda sad. I'm sad because this chapter really shows what could have been. And I feel like that's kind of what this chapter was supposed to mean. We know Toriko was rushed. But this chapter alone just lets us know what the mangaka really had planned for the series. For a long time now, the space arc has been built up for many arcs since early on in the series. And we've always questioned, will we get that arc? As we know, we won't, because Toriko has ended. However, I feel like this chapter was just trying to show us what could have been if the mangaka was given more time and if the series wasn't rushed to end. Because when we see these different planets, the different creatures in space and all that, it felt like we just got the tip of the iceberg of Toriko. It's kind of like this. It's like if One Piece was rushed. Imagine reading One Piece or watching One Piece, and then you find out about, the second half of the Grand Line or whatever, and then the series ends. To be concluded. I mean, just think about it. That's kind of how this is. Or it's like the Dark Continent. That's a very good example. It's like, imagine watching Hunter x Hunter or reading Hunter x Hunter. You find out about the Dark Continent, the world building of it, and then you're like, holy shit, series ends. And you're like, what the fuck? And that's kind of what this is. You get all this world building for the space arc and stuff. You see what could have been, all these different creatures, how the eclipse was man-made from the nitro and all that. And when you look at all this, you're like, this could have been a very long portion of Toriko. This could have been like the part 3 of Toriko. As we know, there's like 2 parts of Toriko. You had like the time skip part and then the before time skip, and then that could have been like part 3, taking place off in space, or maybe like a part 2 to Toriko entirely, like a new series or something. But most likely that's not going to happen. So it kind of saddens me to know all this information with this chapter we got, like some world building, like some massive world building. It was concluded like that. I mean, it's a happy tone to end the series on. If you do think about it, the objective was complete of the series, as I've already stated with the last week's chapter. But the world building, once you want to know more. You want to know what else is going to happen. There's a couple of things I'm a little bit disappointed about, but overall, though, I do say this was a good chapter to conclude the series on. I mean, it could have been a hell of a lot better, but with what we got, though, it definitely is probably one of the better ways you could end the series, especially if it is rushed. I'm not even going to deny that, because seeing Toriko and Komatsu going on a journey, venturing out into space, trying to, taste food and all that, figure out what they want to eat and stuff, it's kind of letting us know that their journeys will continue on. I mean, the book ends here. It's the final chapter. The book closes. But the story is not over. It continues moving forward even after the final page is done. And I feel like that's kind of what the mangaka wanted us to see. Allow us to know that even though Toriko is done, even though the writing of it is done, and there's probably never going to be a continuation because of, how Shonen Jump just, axed the fuck out of it, at the very least, the journey of Komatsu and Toriko continues on. And with that final portion of the chapter, to be honest, even though there's a lot of things that I wish was answered, like there's a lot, the demons are one of the big ones, I say it was a good ending. I'm not even going to lie to you. It was a good ending. For with what we got, it was. I mean, what better way to conclude a series about venturing out and trying to find something to eat and all that than to end it with, ending it with trying to find something to eat? I mean, it's the best way to end the series. So yeah, Toriko. I guess this is my farewell. I mean, final chapter is good. The world building was incredible, but sadly, like I said, we won't really get to see it go anywhere because final chapter, but it has been a ride. I gotta say, I've enjoyed reading the series, even if it has been rushed all year long. I have enjoyed reading this series. It's been fun. I've had a lot of fun with this series. I'm still glad I started this series. Even with this ending, I'm still glad I started Toriko. I won't deny that. I still am glad I decided to sit down and read the series. That will never change my thoughts on that. No matter how it ended, it'll never change my thoughts. I'm glad I read this, because was fun. It was really fun. It was different from the normal manga I have read, and that's all I ask. And so, Toriko, this may be your conclusion, but I gotta say, your memories will live on. I will never forget this wonderful ride I had. And I gotta say, what is my favorite arc of the series, because I know many might ask me, since this is the final, chapter. My favorite arc, I would say, I'd have to say with the, I like the gourmet tournament arc. I really like that, but I also like Ice Hell. I really like Ice Hell for some reason. I don't know. Something about Ice Hell is something I liked, but I do like the gourmet tournament. That was a really badass arc, but Ice Hell is also something that really stood out to me, so I'll probably go with Ice Hell. I mean, I do like the final arc of, before the time skip, but Ice Hell just was something really cool at the time when I was reading, and it's stuck with me ever since. So yeah, farewell, Toriko. It was a great journey, and maybe one day, I highly doubt it, but maybe one day, if something happens, maybe there could be a continuation, because the way it is left off, there is a possibility for Toriko to get a continuation, but that's if there is demand for it. So we'll have to see where the wind takes us. So let me know your thoughts. How do you feel about Toriko's final chapter? How do you feel about the series' conclusion? I mean, it's sad, but I mean, at the very least, it ended well. So you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.